Hey guys, I'm just going to do a quick video on the advantages of having a weightlifting shoe if you're interested in hypertrophy and muscle growth and strength training. So here's my weightlifting shoe. It's a Nike Romoleo number 3, Lana's number 4. Okay, so weightlifting shoes are designed for lifting weights, funnily enough, versus let's say a running shoe at the lower end of shoe selection. They're designed for actually the opposite of what weightlifting shoes are designed for. They're designed for absorbing force and reducing force transfer to protect joints, whereas weightlifting shoes are actually designed for transferring force. The way they're designed to do that is that they have a flat sole, so completely flat. Look, you won't see that on any running shoe, or you'll see it on a Vivo Barefoot or like a Metcon, but they're like a cross training shoe, not a running shoe. Typical running shoes won't have that. They also have a hard heel, so if you listen to this noise, solid, right? Classic weightlifting shoes are actually made out of wood, so that's the hardest you can get, and actually they're quite sought after for the fact that they're made of wood because the force transfer is even better, but they don't make them like that anymore, so we have some kind of composite. They also have a raised heel, so if you see here, the heel raises at the back. It's usually about 20 millimeters. You'll find in Chinese weightlifting shoes they're slightly more. The advantages to a raised heel is it reduces the demand on your ankles. It's actually called dorsiflexion. So dorsiflexion is the ability to transfer your knee forward of your toe in a squat whilst maintaining heel contact with the floor. So this can be limited in some untrained people or people just that have naturally stiffer joints. It can be increased over time, but in the meantime this can help. So if you reduce the demand for dorsiflexion, you're able to then squat to do a deeper squat, which actually loosens up your hips. So it's just the same as using like a counterweight squat or a rig. You're able to access a deeper squat, and yet it doesn't actually require the ankle to work. So we start to work the hip in a fuller range of motion, which is a real advantage of these. What else are they good for? So the flat sole creates a really good force transfer, so we're using it. It also creates a stable foot. So the bigger surface area we push from, the more stable our foot is. It's like the difference between walking across a beam, I don't know, like a playground beam versus like a scaffolding. Like it's a lot easier to work on the scaffolding because you can fit your whole foot on it. So we're far more stable, okay, because we have like a lot more contact with the beam, or at least in this case the floor. So we have a more stable foot. It's flat soled, so it has a better force transfer too. Whereas a running shoe isn't flat soled. It's not hard soled, so it's not made for force transfer. It's made for the absolute opposite. Okay, and also when you make contact in Olympic weightlifting, you want the whole foot in contact with the floor immediately, again for foot stability, and you can actually get feedback from your lifts because when you hit the ground, it sounds like this. And that is exactly what you want to hear when you're doing Olympic weightlifting, if that's something you were to ever move on to. A good shoe for kind of cross training is a Metcon or a Reebok Nano. So with the Metcon, you've got the slight raised heel, and it's actually a hard heel, but it's also soft in the forefoot, which so you could, if I took this off, you could bend that whole forefoot like that. You can't do that in a weightlifting shoe. Like you can bend it, but it's not made for bending. You could bend this whole shoe. So it's kind of a hybrid, the Metcon, and it also has a flat sole as well. So they're kind of the two shoes I'd recommend. If you are still using running shoes, it's not the end of the world. And these shoes, like weightlifting shoes and Metcons, they are very expensive. So maybe it's something you want to wait to see if you actually want to change your shoe. But you can obviously weigh up the pros and cons now. You've got the information. I have seen it get people in a lot of better positions and get them more progress. So if this is something you're doing for long term, I'd recommend getting a weightlifting shoe, a Nike Metcon, a Reebok Nano. There's also other companies called Innovate, Noble, but Noble are super expensive and not necessarily any better. Innovate is INOV and the number 8. Other than that, there probably are also some other companies. I know Adi Powers are very cheap in weightlifting shoes. They don't do any cross training shoes as far as I'm aware, none to speak of. But that's kind of like the summary of shoe selection. They are expensive, but they are very durable. They last a long time, especially weightlifting shoes. Actually, if you're looking for a long-term investment, weightlifting shoes last a lot. I bought these second-hand. I've had these for 3 years. They're absolutely great. These Metcons, however, I bought the Metcons 4 months ago, and they're already starting to wear away at the heel, but I do wear them a lot for work. So yeah, I would say probably weightlifting should be my number one. because if you are just in the gym for weightlifting, then why do you need a Metcon unless you're doing metabolic conditioning, CrossFit style workouts? Hope this was helpful, guys. If you need any links, just let me know, and have a good week.